What is going on, everyone? AU here, and today we're back and we're having a draft league breakdown. Now, I haven't really said anything about the draft league in any of my other videos because it was kind of like a last minute thing. I just signed up for it last Thursday, I think. But we actually drafted earlier today. I'm recording super late, it's like 11 p.m. right now. But we drafted earlier today. I got the spreadsheet laid out. And really just what I want to do this video is go through the picks, why I chose them, some trades I might want to make later on in the season because we do have trades opening up after this week. Battle videos for this will go up on, I want to say Friday. Friday or Saturday is when the battle videos will be. I'll probably do a team builder. Yeah, actually I think what I'll do is I'll do a team builder on Friday and put out the battle videos on Saturday. I actually might push that back to Thursday and Friday because I know WBE actually has all their matches pretty much go up on Saturday, so that's just a lot of draft league in one Saturday, but we'll see how that goes. I want to start out the video by saying that the amount of people that have come to this channel just in the past week is crazy. I was looking at my analytics and we have 42 more subscribers just last week. Just last week we gained 42 subscribers, which is crazy to me. And usually I'm doing doubles content, VGC content, but I do think the draft league is fun. It teaches you more basics of battling, because if you don't know what draft league is, basically it's kind of like a NFL draft or any sports draft where your professional teams, they draft players. So in Pokemon, you would draft a Pokemon. Once you draft that Pokemon, you're the only one that can use that Pokemon, and you have tiers. As you can see, you have G Max, S tier, A tier, 3 B tiers, and 4 C tiers, and each Pokemon is put into a tier. So drafting your Pokemon to synergize with your team is really important, which to me, I think teaches team synergy building, which can help in singles and in doubles. And the same goes for how you build your Pokemon's EV spreads, move sets, and all that to prepare for your opponent's team, because you know what 10 Pokemon your opponent has, but you have to play to see what 6 you think they'll bring. So that's kind of what Draft League is. And like I said, I usually do VGC content. We're switching it up. I'm gonna give this a try. I hope it gets some good feedback. If not, I may just play this on my own and not upload it. But I really think that this is gonna do good and get some single battlers, and we might even get some VGC battlers to go over to singles and some single battlers to come over to VGC if they stay around and watch the content. But yeah, the support that I've seen over the channel the past week has been crazy. One thing I do want to say, if you haven't followed my Twitter, it's in the description. I really recommend you follow it. I would usually post teams there before I post it anywhere else, so that's a really good place to go to get breakdowns of teams and rental codes of teams before I put it anywhere else. So I really encourage you to go follow my Twitter. And with that, we're about to jump into which Pokemon we chose and why we chose them. Alright, so the first Pokemon on our list is our G-Max slot. Our G-Max slot is G-Max Flapple. I wasn't a big fan of Flapple as a Pokemon like without its G-Max form, but I think in singles with its G-Max form, you set up a Dragon Dance and G-Max and just run through a couple Mons on their team. I think Flapple in singles could be potentially really good. So if you don't know what Flapple's move does, it lowers the evasiveness of the opposing Pokemon, and then Flapple's ability is Hustle, which means for all your moves you have 80% accuracy regardless of the move. So even 100% accurate move goes down to 80% accurate, but you get a 1.3 times boost, I think, in power. So you're sacrificing accuracy for power. Now in Gigantamax form, you never miss, so you always get that hustle boost. So that in itself makes it super good. It gets Dragon Dance, it gets Outrage, it gets Grab Apple, which is a move that does double damage when gravity is applied, and I think I have a Pokemon on my team that learns gravity. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. But like I said, G-Max Flapple is going to be doing a ton of damage while Gigantamax, and you're not going to have to worry about missing. And if you can get off his Gigantamax move, then even after you're done Gigantamaxing, you won't have to worry about missing either, depending on how many evasiveness drops that you've got on the opposing Pokemon. I started out with Flapple. It's a grass and dragon, so it kind of gives me two starting cores to go for. If you don't know, the main cores in Draft League is usually Fire, Water, Grass, and Fairy, Dragon, Steel. So Flapple gives me Grass and Dragon. His other abilities are Gluttony and Ripen. I don't think they're that good on Flapple. Now, Flapple might surprise me and be a little bit more bulky than what I originally think he is, but I think that Hustle's probably going to be the ability that I go for the most on Flapple. So I'm really excited to use this Mon, and I guess now we'll get to the S tier. So the next Pokemon I drafted was actually Sylveon. I was going for Corviknight this round. Corviknight's an S tier, but Corviknight was picked up really early, and then so that kind of took away from the Steel type that I wanted for my Dragon Steel Fairy Core, and I knew I wanted Sylveon. Sylveon was on the top of my list for a lot of reasons. It gets Wish, Protect, Stab, Hyper Voice, and Stab Quick Attack, Hyper Beam. I mean, it's got crazy damage output, and the ability to Wish and then Baton Pass, like maybe like a slow Baton Pass as a slow pivot in singles is super strong, because you can Wish and then have the Pokemon attack you, and you take the damage for the Pokemon coming in. So like if you were a fast pivot, you would pivot first and then the Pokemon would attack the Pokemon that came in, but as a slow pivot, you are the defensive Pokemon. You take that hit and then you Baton Pass out into a Pokemon that can heal up using that Wish. And just that in itself, being able to heal Mons like Flapple and more Mons that you'll see a little bit later, makes Sylveon super strong in singles. And I was surprised that it wasn't picked up before it got to me, because I was 12th pick, which means I did get to draft Flapple and Sylveon back to back, but there were 11 other picks before me, and Sylveon wasn't grabbed, so I made sure to go ahead and grab that one. So like I said, I'm really excited to use Sylveon. I think it's going to pair really well with Flapple, and now I think the next one I drafted was an S tier, so we'll get on to that one. So like I said, Corviknight was actually taken by the time that it got around to me, and Aegislash wasn't even my second pick. I actually had a different Steel type in C tier that I was going to go for, but the second pick I had in S tier was Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr was also taken before it got around back to me, so I was deciding between Excadrill and Aegislash, and I'm not entirely sure. I may go back to Excadrill for a reason you'll see later, but for right now, I think that Aegislash is super strong. You get King's Shield. Its ability is super good. Stance Change. Chat, you can go for special or physical type, so it kind of plays mind games with your opponent on which set you're running. You could be running Shadow Ball, Flash Cannon, or you could be running Iron Head, Shadow Sneak, Shadow Claw. I don't think it gets Toxic in this game, and I'm not sure about Spikes either. I don't know if he ever got Spikes, but Aegislash has recently come up as a weakness policy user, so that could be really interesting with Dynamax, because Dynamax would go through King's Shield, and if it's a super effective hit, does damage to him and procs his weakness policy. So we'll see how Aegislash plays out. It's super strong in singles, so I'm not worried about it hindering me, but it may not be the best S tier for my team. But for right now, I think it was a really good pick. So next we'll get on to the C tier. I think I picked a C tier next, which might surprise you, but the C tier is so underrated. So here we have Vanillix. If you've watched my past two videos, you know that Vanillix is one of my new favorite competitive Pokemon. Its ability to set Hail and set Aurora Bell for its team is huge, and in singles I don't know how Focus Sash is on it, so I might even be able to run Light Clay and get the boosted 2 turns or 3 turns, however many it is, of screens from Auroraville. But not only that, Vanillix has a decently high base speed for this meta, and it's 144 if you're timid, I think. So it's relatively fast. It can get off those blizzards. It can get off the freeze dries. You can run Ice Shard with it for priority. It's got a lot of options, and the reason I went Vanillix is because I was going to run Gmax Lapras in this one, but Flapple, I don't know why, but Flapple really stuck out to me. So then I was like, I think that opens up the possibility to run Vanillix. And a lot of people might say, well, Gmax Lapras is better than Vanillix, but to me, those two Pokemon don't really even fit the same role. Outside of Auroraville, those two Pokemon don't really have a lot in common. Vanillix is more of an offensive Ice type, whereas Lapras is a defensive Water Ice type. So I really wanted the offensive pressure, which is why I went for Flapple and Vanillix. So Vanillix is going to help me out a lot, especially with mons like Flapple, and if I'm running like an offensive Aegislash where it doesn't really go back into where it's in defensive form, shield form, then Auroraville is going to help out a lot because we're going to be getting half damage from the opponent's moves the whole time. Like I said, in singles, Auroraville doesn't stay up a long time. 5 turns is a really short amount of time in singles, so we will see how that goes. We might be able to run Light Clay on it to kind of extend that, but I think my goal with Vanillix is to be able to set up Auroraville and get in some sweepers in really quickly, because setting up Auroraville might allow me to make a lot more safe switch-ins to kind of frail mons because they're getting half damage. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm actually really excited about this. I'm surprised Vanillix is a C tier. To me, it's a B tier, a really high B tier at that. So I went ahead and snagged Vanillix before anyone else did because I think this mon is super underrated. Next, we picked up Inteleon. I was talking about that offensive pressure, and Inteleon's special attack stat is super high, and give it choice specs, and it's even higher. Obviously, it's even higher, but Inteleon does a lot of damage. Even if you even give it a Life Orb, to me, running Life Orb on Inteleon and Cinderace right now are kind of optimal, because if you survive long enough and you're OHKOing things frequently enough, you can get that Life Orb damage down to your torrent percentage, so you can activate your own ability and deal more damage. But the reason I grabbed Inteleon over any of the other starters or any other Pokemon in general was because Inteleon gave me a, you can see right now I have a Dragon Steel Fairy Core, but I am also starting to get a Grass, Water, Fire Core with Inteleon, and Inteleon can learn Blizzard. So my thought process is Vanillix sets the Hail, it sets Auroraville, switch in Inteleon, spam some Blizzards with choice specs, and at that point you've chipped away at most of your opponent's team. Depending on, and like things that resist Blizzard, Inteleon can hit in other ways, with most of the time with Snipe Shot. Because what resists Blizzard? Rock types, I think Rock types, Steel types. So Rock types and Steel types, it can hit with Snipe Shot for super effective and neutral damage. So I think Inteleon really went well with this core, and it's really, I mean, it's super fast. It has base, if it's max speed, it's at 189 at level 50. I don't know if we're leveling our Pokemon up to level 50 or 100 for this one, but I know that for level 50, it's one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. So that's the reason that I chose Inteleon for my 5th round pick. So for round 6, I chose my mascot itself. I chose Braviary. I really wanted Tailwind on this team because Pokemon like Flapple and Aegislash really benefit from Tailwind. Also, Vanillix really benefits from Tailwind. And outside of Cottony, Corviknight, Whimsicott, Corviknight, Drifblim, maybe, a lot of Pokemon don't get Tailwind, and its ability with Defiant makes it super good with the abundance of max moves that lower your stats. Defiant is really good on this Pokemon, and Having Tailwind is super good. It gets Brave Bird. I don't know if it gets Roost. I would imagine it gets Roost. You can run Protect, Close Combat. This Pokemon is just a really offensive threat, and it can set up its own Tailwind, which makes it even more of an offensive threat, and it's actually pretty bulky. So it's added the added benefit of its natural bulk to its high attack stat, the Defiant ability, its relatively good speed stat, and really good under Tailwind, makes this Pokemon a real threat, and I think another underrated C tier. I really think Braviary probably should not have been C tier, but it was, and I grabbed it, and I'm really proud of this pick. Alright, so we're at round 7 at this point, and at this point in the draft, ground types were becoming very scarce. The only great ground types were really in A and S tier, and this is kind of the reason I said that I might be trying to trade for Excadrill later on in the season, because with Sandstream, Sandrush Excadrill could do a lot of damage to an opposing team, and even Mold Breaker Excadrill without Sandrush, even with the Gigalith, would be really strong. So like I said, I might go for Excadrill later, but with Gigalith, I was really proud of this pick because it gets Stealth Rocks. I don't know if it gets Spike. You can run Sturdy, Self-Destruct, or Explosion. I don't know if it's Self-Destruct or Explosion, but the ability to set rocks, it gave me a ground type, it gave me a rock type for like Charizards or any other fire type Pokemon, Arcanines, anything like that. You can run Weakness Policy on Gigalith, and it's actually super strong. It can become a real threat at that point, and I got a Pokemon later on in the draft that really could help out Gigalith in that aspect, making it an offensive pressure for it to be something for the opponent to be scared of. So with the ability to set rocks, I think it gets Rapid Spin, so the ability to remove hazards from our side. Gigalith is just an overall really good Pokemon, a really strong B tier Pokemon. So I'm really proud of this pick. I think it kind of wrapped up the weaknesses on my team that I had. And then these next 3 were kind of just free picks for me. It wasn't something that I really needed to cover weaknesses on my team, but it was just something that add a little flair to my team that could make it even a little bit more intimidating for the opponent to see. Alright, next is Girder. Apparently I really like Gen 5 Pokemon in Draft League, but I really think Gen 5 has some of the strongest Pokemon in Draft League. Girder is a really strong C tier. You give it Eviolite and that thing is so bulky. Its attack stat is relatively high for a stage 2 Pokemon, but it's a really strong C tier. It gives me a fighting coverage that I actually realized I really needed, because Rock kind of runs through my team. Also Steel types kind of run through my team a little bit, so fighting was a coverage I felt like I really needed, and Girder just fit that role really well as a bulky, slow fighting type that can just deal a lot of damage. And it's not really more to this pick than that. That's kind of my thought process behind it. So now we'll get into round 9. So in round 9, I actually really wanted to grab, what's the Pokemon called? I really wanted to grab the Psychic Bug type, Orbeetle. I wanted to grab Orbeetle. Orbeetle in singles is super strong because it gets Calm Mind, Iron Defense, Stored Power, and Sticky Webs. I really wanted Sticky Webs on this team. So later on in the season I might be making some trades to try to get Pokemon with Sticky Webs on this team, but I thought that a good alternative to Sticky Webs is Trick Room. Now Beheeyem can do a lot of damage. Its damage output is pretty good. It's 2 abilities that it gets right now. I don't know if we actually get analytics in Sword and Shield, but its other 2 abilities are Telepathy and Synchronize. Now Synchronize is probably the better of the 2 just because this isn't doubles. So if I don't get Analytic, I'll be running Synchronize, but if I do get Analytic, it boosts its attacks by 1.3 if the Pokemon moves last. So if I don't want to set Trick Room, I can just move last, make him super bulky, and have super high attack stat, special attack stat, and move last, and then get my moves boosted. Now, the reason I wanted Trick Room on this team is because you have mons like Gigalith, you have Girder, you have Aegislash that can be pretty slow, You have Sylveon that could be pretty slow. So Trick Room on this team actually was a really good option for me. So now I have a Trick Room mode and I have a Tailwind mode. I have a fast and a slow mode and 2 forms of speed control. So even if the other team sets Tailwind and I don't have Tailwind that game, I can set Trick Room and kind of counteract that Tailwind, or they get some max Airstream boost or whatever, right? So Behem I think is really good in Draft League. I was surprised nobody actually grabbed it. I did want Psychic type coverage on my team, and Orbeetle was gonna cover that, but since it got snagged right before I took this pick, I was looking into some more Psychic type Pokemon to fit that role. And Behem, I think is probably going to be one of the MVPs of this Draft League season, and I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. And to wrap things all up, we got the last Pokemon that we needed for our Firewire Grass core, and that's Ninetales. Ninetales gets Drought and it gets Flash Fire. I think personally I'm probably going to be running Flash Fire over Drought more because I already have 2 Pokemon that can change weather, but it can set its own sun and make its fire type moves that much stronger. But I think Flash Fire for my team was really good. I didn't actually think anybody was going to grab this Pokemon, which is why I kind of saved it for last. But having Flash Fire to counter things that counter Aegislash, to counter things that counter Vanillix, things that even hit Flapple pretty hard, could be super big for the team. So I think Flash Fire was a really good ability for the team to have, and even the possibility to run Drought in a match that I may not need Flash Fire. Now Ninetales can be Scarfed and it can actually be pretty fast, so having a fast sun setting fire type attacker is super good. And with that, it wrapped up our Grass Water Fire core, and this is my draft. I'm really happy with this draft. It went a lot better than what I thought it was going to. It is my first draft, so I was really excited to be able to use a lot of these Pokemon. I'm so excited to be able to use Flapple, because in VGC, Flapple's not really that great, but I think it's going to be so fun to use in Draft League. Also, Inteleon is really fun to use. I'm really excited to use Behem. Behem I think is going to become one of my favorite Pokemon after the season's over. But now I actually want to take you to the schedule, and this is our 11-week schedule. This is the regular season. As you can see, I've got all the teams lined up that I'm facing. Our team on week 1 is actually a Sun team, and I think we have the ability to kind of counteract that Sun team pretty well. But I'll be keeping up with scores, the total KD ratio, to how many mons I lost to how many they lost, and we'll update that every week, and then my overall record every week. Our goal is to make it to the finals for this. I think it would be super cool if we could for our first Draft League. There's a lot of really good players in this Draft League from what I could tell. They all seem to really know what they were doing. So I think it's going to be really fun to try to make a name for ourselves in this Draft League and make it to where our team is something to be scared of. So I think with that, guys, I'm probably going to leave you here. So like, comment, subscribe, and like I said, follow my Twitter for some early access teams, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.